Hello and welcome to another World of Warplanes video with me, Sir 10 Death. I'm going to be taking a look today at another premium aircraft that's available pretty much all the time and asking, is it worth the gold? It is the American Tier 5 fighter, the Bell XFL-1 Airabonita. Now there's an awful lot of competition at Tier 5 for fighters and possible things you can spend your hard-earned cash on. So this video is going to look at this plane and talk about what it does well, what it doesn't do so well, and whether it's actually worth shelling out a little bit of cash on. As ever, there'll be some replay footage, quite a nice game going on here. I'm a Tier 5 plane with a lot of Tier 4s involved, that suits me nicely. And talking about what the plane does as we go into the game. So, I've already mentioned there's an awful lot of premium aircraft available at Tier 5, and even amongst that, there's quite a lot of them that are fighters. So there's a lot of competition for the mantle of which one's best going on out here. And you'd be right in thinking to yourself, if you're going to spend about £6 or £7 or maybe 9 or 10 euros of dollars, which one should you get? First thing worth saying is that they're not all available all the year round. This one is at the moment, but it could be removed at some point by Wargaming, who really knows. And I'm going to be talking about whether I like it or not. So, it's got 200 hit points normally. If you fit some certain bells and whistles to it, you can upgrade that slightly. But it's got 200 hit points, which at Tier 5 is, it's okay. It's not the best, it's not the worst. It's not bad at all. It will suffer a little bit of punishment, a bit of damage, and probably still survive quite well. So it's not a terrible plane, hit point wise. Maneuverability rating on paper is 78. Which is okay. It's not as maneuverable as some of the Japanese planes or maybe the Yak line from the Russians, but 78 is probably good enough to get in amongst most dogfights and cope well enough. It has a turn turn time of 9.6 seconds, which is pretty good. That's alright. There are a few that are better than that, but there's an awful lot that are worse than that as well. And as you've just seen straight away, if you've got into the gameplay, I've had no problem getting on the back of somebody else and also shrugging off this guy that got behind me. We'll just drop off there, turn around and get back onto him. So you can see it's not the nippiest plane. There are quicker ones at getting turned around, but it's also not bad at all at getting on the target and going to work. Altitude wise, its recommended height, it's a quite high level fighter for Tier 5 in the sense that it's designed to operate most efficiently at around about 1,200 meters. Now I'm right down here at the 300 meters mark at the minute. That's because that's where the dogfighting is going on, but it does perform a bit better a bit higher up, and it will serve you well up there, so that's not bad at all. Speed wise, it's quite quick plane actually. Even when not boosting, it will go around the sort of 330 kilometers per hour mark. When boosting, you can push that up over the 400, which is pretty nice. So it can maneuver its way and get its way around the map quite efficiently, quite effectively. Now, to the part that most people think is most interesting about this plane, the majority of planes at Tier 5, fighters at Tier 5 anyway, have got maybe 4 or 6 or even 8 machine gun style weapons, which can be effective. The XFL-1 is a bit different in the sense that it's got two 7.62mm machine guns, which frankly speaking at Tier 5 would be pretty awful if they were on their own, but they're not on their own. It also has a single 37mm cannon. Now that cannon can be a bit of a pain to get it on target, but if you do, if you get your lead right, and you can get it on target, which I've just done there with that shot, and again there. Now that's what happens. That attack aircraft went from probably about 80 or 90% of its hit points to gone in 3 or 4 seconds, because that single 37mm cannon has got a 520 meter range and will do about 140 hit points of damage per second if you can get those shots on target. Now it takes a bit of work, but I've managed to do it again with 1 or 2 of the shots. It takes a little bit of work, but if you get them on target, you can tear up other fighters and other multi-roles and ground attack aircraft and even some heavy fighters really quite efficiently. The only thing is with it, it overheats pretty quickly. Now I'll be the first to admit I'm still very much having to teach myself not to just hold down that mouse button that I've been guilty of it a few times in the past, but I'm getting better at dabbing it, at maybe shooting for a second or two, letting it cool, because it works particularly well on this aircraft. When I very first got this, which actually was about the end of November last year, I've had it a few weeks, I barely played it at all because I've been busy doing other things. When I first got it, I didn't like it, and I didn't like it because I was playing it wrongly. I was holding down that mouse button, and therefore the 37mm cannon wasn't able to function efficiently, and because of that I thought the plane was poor. Now that I'm learning, I wouldn't claim to have learned, but learning how to play it more efficiently, I am managing to get better results using this plane, and therefore on the back of that is getting better scores. So the plane, you see there, the guns have just overheated, and I'm just letting them cool straight off now before I go back in again on this heavy aircraft. So I was one of my subscribers on my channel as a very well respected player of both World of Warplanes and World of Tanks, a guy called Carl Drogo, and he's regularly giving me advice and tips. He's doing it on the channel quite a lot, and no doubt he'll be listening to this. And I've taken your advice, Carl, and you see I'm getting better at actually dabbing that mouse key and not just holding it down. Still work to go. I still need to learn a bit more about it, but I'm doing better at learning how to use these cannons more efficiently. Just making a pass here on this attack aircraft. So I'm almost 5,000 combat points now. I've taken very little damage myself, and I'm quite an enjoyable game, to be honest, just zipping around, no problem. How does it compare to the others then? Because that's the big question. If you're going to spend some money on a tier 5 premium plane, which should you get? That's tough to really answer outright, and if I was to try and do that, no doubt I'd get some arguments from other people in my comments. Let's just go through what you can get at tier 5 at various times of the year when they become available. You can get a lot of different planes. There's a Tomahawk 2B, there's an A6 M3 Experimental, which I've reviewed in the past. There's the French one, the Arsenal Delane 10C2. There's a Boomerang, a Miles M20, the Spitfire 1A, the Vickers Venom, the Polikarpov I-180-3, the Heinkel HE-100D1, the XP-77, a couple of German ones, the BF-109E3, which happens to be available at the minute, but only for a couple more days, and the ME-209V4, and another American one, the XF-4U1. So many, all tier 5 fighters. Personally, I normally enjoy playing ones that have quite high maneuverability and spit out a lot of shells quite quickly. So I normally quite enjoy ones like the Spitfire 1A, and yeah, things like that. They suit me quite well. The A6 M3 Experimental is quite nice as well. But I have to be honest and say that if you can learn how to use this 37mm cannon, and it does take a bit of practice, but if you can master it, this plane is a lovely plane to play. It's really quite nice. You have to work to get your lead just ahead of somebody and then pulse those cannons, just flick them out, kind of almost test to see if they're connecting with your target before you let one or two more. Now I'm having to work here, but you see I'm having to just it's not a bad thing to do, because even when you're just testing the water and trying things out, the little guns, the 762s, are doing little bits of damage. So those 762s are chipping away at this guy, because I haven't managed yet to really get him in my sights. He's making me work hard for this, but if I can get him in the sights, just trying to get on his tail. Oh, he is making me work here. I actually recorded this footage a few days ago, so I can't remember exactly how things panned out when I recorded this. As a team, we're doing alright here, and I've nearly got him in my sights now. Now that I have, there we go. We've got the 37mm only actually needed to hit him once. The 762s were chipping away all the time, but as soon as one of those 37s hit him once, that's another 37 that's just hit him as he's gone past, which has dropped his hit points right down. It does mean that because of this, even if you don't get the kills, you're going to pick up an awful lot of assistance points, because if you, basically any plane that you fly past, if you can hit them with that 37mm cannon, you're going to take a chunk of their health off and make it an easier kill for other members of your team. Would I recommend this plane then? Personally, yeah, I would. Personally, I think the XFL-1 is a fun plane to play once you are learning how to use those cannons. But that's not a bad thing to learn, because my understanding is that the further into this game that you go, the higher the tiers you go, the more and more you become reliant upon sort of cannon-based aircraft that require this skill set of pulsing short bursts of fire out. And if you can learn that at tier 5 of the premium plane while making some credits, then that's probably going to serve you very well in the future. Is it the best one at tier 5? Oh, tough call that. I really like the French one, the Arsenal Delane 10C2. I think that's a lovely fighter. I enjoy the Spitfire 1A. I have actually got from the Santa Sax, but haven't played yet, the Vickers Venom, so I intend to try that, because on paper it looks like a good plane. But I would certainly say this is right up with what in my top 2 or 3. If I had to pick 3 tier 5s, I would go with the French Arsenal Delane, the Spitfire 1A, and this one. So yes, I would recommend it. I would say it is actually worth playing. It is worth getting if you're looking for something to earn you credits, especially if, of course, you want to train an American fighter pilot. If it's the country or the lines you're going down, this will probably serve you quite well. I've taken quite a bit of damage now, but I'm still on my first sortie. I'm hoping to see this game out now because the squall line's down. Got ourselves a attack aircraft just swooping past there, done a little bit of damage to him, try and get on his tail, can't get the kill. Past 10,000 combat points now though, which is always really nice. If you get past 10,000, in my opinion, that's it's a pretty nice game. Not amazing, there are people who I know who can and frequently do hit 20,000 combat points. I don't get that close very often. I tend to, for me, a good game is how I get around the sort of 14, 15,000. But 10,000 is pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with that. Game is just literally winding right out to an end now. In fact, it's going to end any second now because we've pretty much dominated the map and got things in a wrap. So I'm just going off looking for other targets now because there's not very many of them left. But I don't think I'm going to get anywhere near them because the game is going to wind to a close. There it is. That's the end of it. So how did we do on the whole then? 11,160 combat points. I'm pleased with that. Flying starts pretty standard. Effective fire pretty standard. Strong support, always nice to get that one in there. And subjugate, these are standard. Class 4, which is not great. Finished first team of one, got the Predator award as well for knocking out 10 air targets. How do we do cash wise? Because people always wonder about the money when it's a premium plane. Well, this decent game pulled in almost 150,000 credits. That's a tier 5, so you can pull in 150,000 credits or more. If you have a better game than that, you'll pull in nearer 200,000. So yeah, I would recommend the XFL-1. I think it's a fun plane to play. If I had to pick one, I would pick either this or the French one or the Spitfire 1A, one of those three. But yeah, it's a great plane to play and it will help to teach you how to use cannons for your journey into the higher tiers of the game. As ever, I hope you've enjoyed this video and learned a little bit from it. Thanks very much for watching. Please do share and subscribe. Cheers, goodbye.